Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 424. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we're going to be speaking with Mr. James DuBose, who's a television producer, filmmaker, and entertainment industry executive. And we're going to discuss James' meteoric rise from intern all the way up to the GM and head of programming at Fox Soul. And we're also going to talk about some of the TV shows and films that he's produced throughout the years. Now, one of James's objectives is he wants to lead the charge in showcasing the diversity of the Black experience. And that's what he's doing on Fox Soul right now. But before we get to today's episode, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, don't forget to get 3 days free access to BEB Academy. It's an online learning portal, and it doesn't matter if you're a new entrepreneur or a current entrepreneur. We have all types of learning resources, such as online courses, master classes, downloads, and anything you can think of to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Go to BEBacademy.com and get 3 days full access to this amazing online learning portal. Now, let's get ready for today's show. But before we do, let me also remind you guys that this show is on YouTube, and this is a live video recording. So if you want to watch the interview, make sure you go on YouTube and type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and you'll be able to watch the interview with James and myself. Now, let's get ready for today's show. We are live with James DuBose. He is currently the GM and head of programming at Fox Soul. Television producer, filmmaker, and entertainment industry executive. Brother James, how are you today, man?
I'm blessed, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Most definitely, man. So for the people who don't know about you, tell me a little bit about yourself personally, and then we're going to jump into your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I grew up, as you mentioned, in North Carolina, Greensboro. All my family and everyone is still back there. So that's the city that raised me and I love. I was mainly in the sports coming up, got a full scholarship to play football at Wake Forest University, graduated from that with my degree in broadcast communications, a brief stint at the Detroit Lions after that. And then when that didn't work out like I was hoping, I came to LA, moved to LA and just started in the TV space as a PA. Going to get coffee and donuts, things like that, as we all have to do. But I knew that really wasn't, that wasn't a place I wanted to stay. So met a lot of great people that helped me along the way, built a lot of great relationships. And then after working and moving up and doing certain things in 2005, I ventured off as I always wanted to do and started my own thing. And that was the beginning of my entertainment entrepreneur journey, if you will.
Cool. All right. So you using some industry lingo here, PA, right? Production assistant, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So
absolutely.
This was a question I was going to ask you later on, but since you kind of brought that up, my oldest daughter was a page for NBC Universal out in LA. And she always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. But she said, Dad, when you start out, it doesn't matter where, if you're a lawyer or whatever, you got to start out on the desk. And the pay isn't great, but you have to grind to get to the place where currently like you are, or to excel in the industry. And how long did it take you, man, to move from a PA position up to something that you felt was, okay, I'm on the right track right now? What was that time frame like?
I don't want to. It was never, and it's still to this day, it's not what I dreamed of. So I want to be clear.
Okay.
I have a bigger vision than what it is and so forth. But in terms of PA, I think I was a production assistant for about a year and a half at a company called Brad Lockman Productions.
Okay.
And Brad Lockman did a lot of live music shows, a lot of clip shows. And then with him, I stayed with that company. He took a liking to me and really showed me a lot of things and took me on just to teach me the business. So I went from there to, different positions. But the journey began there. Every year, every 2 years, I would meet somebody at Brad, either stay with Brad, and my work ethic, I believe, and my passion allowed me to move up really quickly. I worked hard at it because it was a passion for me. So that everyone has their different journey at different times. I think mine was a roller coaster ride, as it still is. It was up, down, up, down, up, down. But yeah, it probably, again, like I said, I started in the business in 92, thereabout.
Okay.
And I didn't venture off into my own thing until 2005.
Okay, cool. So you put that time and effort in and work before you ventured out on your own.
Absolutely.
What made you jump into entertainment? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or did the opportunity just present itself?
Early on, it was always, I love creating. I've always have. I love entertaining. That's why I went to, part of the reasons outside of sports that I chose Wake Forest, because they had a great broadcast communication program. I knew that's all I wanted to do. Coming up back home, I was in a rap group. I used to DJ. I used to film videos, things of that nature. So I've always wanted to entertain. I've always wanted to tell stories. And at the end of the day, honestly, I wanted to tell Black stories. I wanted to tell our stories. And I knew eventually I was going to have to venture off on my own to be able to do that the way I had envisioned. So I've been blessed to only do sports and entertainment, which is the only two things I ever dreamed of as a kid. So that within itself is a blessing. Doesn't come without difficulties, obviously, but I'm extremely blessed to be able to do that.
That's what's up. Yo, remind me to have you spit some bars at the end of the episode, all right?
That's the reason I'm in entertainment right now. That didn't work out too well.
That's what's up. Man, so when I was looking at your bio, man, it mentioned you had 4 fundamental pillars. And how did that come about?
Educate, entertain. Is that those are the things?
Yeah.
Well, to me, learning through a lot of mistakes in terms of storytelling, I felt like to entertain, educate, and inspire was a recipe for success, because obviously people want to be entertained, but if you could get them to learn something and be inspired, so when they turn away from the program or turn it off, I wanted them to walk away with something that they could either be better or go help somebody else be better. And so that was just always my mission and my philosophy in creating programs, that I try not to have one missing ingredient. It's like a cake. You bake a cake. Right. If you don't have the eggs or the milk or what have you, it's not going to be the same. So I felt about that about storytelling as well with those ingredients.
Yeah. All right. I want the light bulb to go off for the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. It's inspire, educate, uplift, and entertain. And those are the formula that James used to grow in the entertainment industry and also his business. And I think that's a focus and a roadmap to be able to help you, you know what I mean, get to wherever you want to be. When it comes to empower and educate, what is your thought on right now the narrative that you see us portrayed in on TV, music, and all of that stuff? And what are your thoughts on that? And if, what do you want to do to be able to kind of change that image and narrative that's out there?
First, there's many sides of us, of the culture, the people that make up the culture. So I really don't in a sense, knock anything that we're able to do and show that side. There's all sides of us, and we're not a monolithic culture, if you will. The narrative only changes for people that maybe not understand the culture. And so to me, it's all about balance. I think we have there's enough room for everything. I just think sometimes the larger media groups, if you will, or the people that is the one thing, to be honest with you. You can't expect people that don't know your culture or respect your culture to help you enhance your culture. You understand? So that's
real talk.
That has to come from us. Oh. So the narrative is only because we're only giving them, or they're allowing us, if you will, to 90% of the time only portray that particular side, which of us have that side as well. But if they show the educational side and the inspirational side, there's a lot of us that do that at the same time. So to me, it's just about the balance. I don't want to, if I had to change anything, it would just be given an opportunity to balance things out, to show the totality of our culture, not just a part.
Makes sense. And I know almost everything, unfortunately, is driven by the dollar. It is money makes the world go round. So I know certain times that we may have to do things or, to make sure that we're at least on the screen. And I know you look back at the history of television and movies, and you had to go from Step and Fetch It, all the way up to where we are today. And somebody had to break ground for that. And it happens not just, I want the BEB family to understand, it happens not just in our race. You look at the Jewish race with the Three Stooges. They were buffoons, but they had to start somewhere, and then the whole community was able to stand on their backs and grow and be able to shown in different lights as opposed to just comedy. And I think that's one of the things, too, that we have to understand, that there's a progression to everything. And, if we had our druthers, we probably have a lot more positive programming on, like you said, but it is what it is. And there's many facets to us as a people. So I definitely respect that, man. You in your career have worked with a ton of people, brother. It says here that you were president of Bad Boy Television working with Puffy. And I had one of my good brothers. I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Prez. Used to work with, that's my man. That's my guy, man. Matter of fact, I just talked to him earlier this morning. And so he had some great things to say about working with Puffy, man. What was that like working with Puffy, and what did you learn from that?
I mean, the one thing I always say, if you don't learn to value yourself after working with Puff, then you haven't learned anything at all. And if you look at his career and everything he's done over his journey, the one thing that has been consistent for the most part is he understands his value. He understands his worth. And he believes in what he believes in. He believes in himself. So, I wasn't there that long. I was executive vice president of Bad Boy Films, I think about a year and a half. But you walk away with the confidence that there's nothing you can do if you really work at it. You're going to go through ups and downs. So I think that was the biggest thing, is just to understand, because quite honestly, even though I was successful in sports and had whatever moderate success in the entertainment business, I always didn't have the self-confidence that I see a lot of people that have. I don't know where that comes from, a lot of things, but the one thing I realize is no one should believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And so
that's right.
Puff is a brother who exemplifies that every day. And anytime you hear him talking, even today, it's all about his value, his self-love, his self-worth. And he does that unapologetically. So I would say that was the biggest thing I learned by being around him.
Now, for prospective entrepreneurs and the current entrepreneurs that are listening to that, to this, is there a way that you ended up developing that, or do you have some tips that can help you develop confidence in yourself? Or what would you tell people who were in your shoes and don't have the confidence, what they call the imposter syndrome, and then trying to level up to the point where they do have confidence in their talents and skills? How did you do it, and what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs?
Well, I think first, life will beat you up enough where you can lose, any person can lose confidence. You go through ups and downs and you lose, you fell a lot. And obviously you lose confidence in yourself. So my biggest takeaway, or if I had to give someone advice in terms of that, is understand that the failures, and it's cliches, but it's so true. It's a part of success, and don't lose. Like, I went through a lot where I lost a lot, and then until I realized that I never lost, I lost the gift that God blessed me with. So as long as you have the gift, you can always get back what you lost, right? I don't care.
There you go.
Whatever. So just as an entrepreneur, it's hard. And that's the reason why everybody doesn't do it. It's hard. It's stressful. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's no days off. But the reward is just as gratifying if you get there, but it ain't overnight. Like, we live in a culture now where it's the microwave syndrome. We want everything, to be ready and done in a minute, in 30 seconds. It just doesn't work like that in the entrepreneurial world. A lot of us focus on, we see the lifestyle that a lot of people that we admire and look up to, where they're living now. But you got to remember, those people don't show the journey. They don't show the times when they was crying and down and out. I don't care who you are, how much money you have, no matter what ethnicity you are. You've been through very, very dark days as an entrepreneur. So the thing is, if you believe in it, and again, it goes back to your self-confidence and knowing your value and self-worth and believing what you're doing. I think Jay-Z said it once, the only genius thing he really did is he didn't quit. And
That's what's up.
As simple as that. It's just that simple. Don't quit.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Let me ask you, man. So we had talked about some of the great people you worked with and worked for. What made you jump out and start DuBose Entertainment?
Well, again, that was always, I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to tell the stories the way I saw it, the way I see them, the way I understood them, and I didn't see anyone really doing it. So the first thing I did learn was try to find a void. And wherever that void is, try to go fill that. And I felt like for us as a culture, and the celebrities that I've been blessed to work with to help me get to where I am, their stories weren't being told in a way that everybody could identify with. Like, not everybody's going to sing a high note. Not everybody's going to run a 4.3 40. Nobody ever's going to throw a football or shoot a basketball. But everyone can relate to family dysfunction, having a hard time, falling down, having to get back up. Everyone can relate to that. And so I just wanted to tell that story in a real way. And that's what made me jump out and start my business. And it was, I think, 6-8 months. I ain't make it down. I was scared to death.
Right. I know that feeling, bro. I started 17 businesses in my entrepreneurial journey after college. Almost lost it all twice. 5 businesses were abject failures. I was blessed to be able to build 2 multi-million-dollar businesses. And I feel you on that, man. So that's something, man. When you're talking about 6 to 8 months, that's a hurt piece right there, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. So your company now, I looked up your IMDb. So you've been an executive producer, man, for some of the hottest shows in the in our sphere, man. With Bobby Brown, was it Being Bobby Brown?
Now, I did a pilot. I don't know why I get attributed to that particular.
Oh, okay.
That I don't know where that came from. I did do a pilot with Bobby for BET, but it wasn't Being Bobby Brown that was on Bravo. That was me. I didn't.
Okay, got you. And what else you did? Tiny and Toya?
Did Tiny and Toya, Keisha Cole started off. The Michael Vick Project, My Moment with Trey Songz, Hell Day, Comic View, One Mic Stand with Kevin Hart.
Hell Date was my show, man. Me and my wife used to crack up on Hell Date, man. When the little dude would come on out, man. Where'd y'all find him at?
That show was actually created by someone else, and they took it to BT, and then BT had reached out to me to see if I wanted to get involved. So got involved and did the pilot, and so then went on. So I didn't create that show. I just of moving forward.
Yeah, that was a good show, man. Me and my wife used to love that show, bro. So BEB family, my man, brother James DuBose has been had his hand in a lot of iconic shows that you've probably watched, and we definitely appreciate that, man. In terms of your business, when you jumped out with DuBose Entertainment, one of the things that my VEB audience always asks me, be it DM, email, whatever, is how do you finance your business? So when you jumped out on your own and you said you didn't really eat for 6 to 8 months, how did you finance that? And tell me what your structure of your business looked like right then. Did you have employees? Was it just you? Or and tell us how you financed that. Well,
let me start off by just being 100% real. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Right? let me start with that.
Right.
Creatively, been blessed. Had no idea how to run a business, right? And so this is very important because a lot of people think they want to be bosses and all that kind of stuff, and entrepreneurs. But you got to understand business. There's a reason it says business, and I just thought as long as I was creative, everything was going to work itself out. But to answer the question, when the Keisha Cole show was the first show I did on the DuBose Entertainment.
Okay.
Blessed was my first show out the gate, and so once we got that sold, based on the budget that BET had given me to do the show, I was able to hire people. And then from there, it just kept going. I didn't have money to say, capital, I'm going to go spend $1 million on that. I didn't have employees. At first, it was just me and an assistant for a very long time. And I was figuring out how to pay her every week. You know what I mean? And some days I couldn't. And she believed and stuck by me, and we grew, and that was great. But it was mainly taking a budget that the network had provided, and then that allowed me to hire employees and hire people, and then it just kept going from there. So that was the blessing of it. But creative, and sometimes the business side and the creative mind don't always mix. I know it doesn't mix for me because, I have champagne taste with beer money. You know what I mean? And I always would try to figure out how to make it champagne, even though I didn't have the money. So I was spending things that I didn't have, thinking the next project I can catch up. So I got into a crazy cycle of again, not understanding business. And until I damn near hit rock bottom, I started to understand the business aspect of things, and being creative or talent is just not enough. So get some mentors that could structure and teach you how to structure a business, because it's a business first. Spend less than what you have. I don't know how to. I don't know how to stop people to say, if you're creative and you want the best, how not to get that, because I still haven't learned that part. I just have a vision. I hate to watch stuff that I knew I could have did better or should look better or be better, and I stopped short because I didn't have the resources to get it done. So it
makes sense.
The resources that the shows allow me to have, hire the right people, and also, when I say the right people in any business, entrepreneurship especially, you got to get the right people. The business don't make the people; it's the people that make the business. And you can never greatness is never a one-man show. I have a lot of people that think that helped me get to this point.
Definitely, that's great insight on that. In terms of the inner workings of getting a show on TV, so. And I don't want you to go too deep in it, but it's very interesting. Like I said, I talk to my daughter all the time about the entertainment industry. She's back in New York now, working in a different aspect. But so when you go and sell a show to a BET, they give you a budget for that show, and then you take that money and then you do all the production of the show. Or was the show already produced first?
No, they give you the money to go and produce the show, and it's from soup to nuts, and you have to deliver.
Gotcha.
And the key is building a relationship and where a network can trust you. You can imagine those executives at whatever studio or network that you're dealing with, when they trust you with their money, they're also trusting you with their jobs, because they're putting their name on you. And so that's the responsibility that you should take value in as well, that somebody believes in you. Don't fail that person. So it was never about me at the end of the day, even though I loved what I did. It was about the people that blessed me to be able to work with them. And then it was about the people that trusted me to deliver for them as well. And the great part of it is I think for BET, when I was over there for those many years, I had a great team. Tanya Newt was her and I. She was an executive at BET at the time. And every success that we had, we were doing it together as a partner. Me from the production side, her from the network side. And by the grace of God, we just had hit after hit after hit. So when I say I felt responsible because she and the rest of the team, Reginald Hutland, Byron Phillips, Aretha Jones, Connie Orlando, I go on down the list. It was just so many people, and then unfortunately, I went through some personal trials and couldn't finish that, but it was beautiful, man. It was great. So it is. They give you the money, you got to go make the show. They trust you to deliver it. Make sure you can deliver it.
That's what's up. So in terms of how you as executive producer get paid, so you get paid from what's left over, or do you give yourself a salary? Just trying to understand the workings of that.
Well, you negotiate a fee.
Oh, okay.
Of what your producer fee is. That is a part that becomes a part of the overall budget.
But okay, cool. All right, that's what's up. Yeah, I will always wonder how all of that worked from concept ideation to get it onto the screen, small or big screen. I was watching Fox Soul the other day, man. Well, actually, a couple months ago. I see you guys. You're working very closely with Dame Dash. With Dame Dash Studios.
Dame and I, we did a strategic partnership where Dame would bring some of his content onto Fox Soul. We did that for, I want to say, 6 months. And that relationship is done now.
Okay.
Dame is a very smart guy, has a lot of content. So it was just about trying to work with everyone that's in the culture, and trying to move the culture forward.
Yeah. So let's fast forward, man. Are you still doing DuBose Entertainment, or are you strictly focused right now as the GM of Fox Soul?
Well, I'm the GM of Fox Soul. That's my priority. I want to make sure, and we're definitely trying to build that because it's very difficult to build a network from the ground up. But I still do DuBose Entertainment stuff as well. I have someone that's running that, and so we, as an entrepreneur, and life will teach you, you cannot have one source of revenue stream, or you ain't going to make it, especially in this business, right?
You got that right, bro.
So it's just a passion of, again, trying to build an empire that I could leave when I'm no longer here, and that you can't do that. I think the bottom line is you can never build an empire with something that you don't have, that you don't own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's up.
And though Fox Soul is definitely the priority, I still try to do more, and even more. I'm still trying to expand and still trying to learn.
Right. Now, let me ask you, man, what's your vision for Fox Soul as you move forward?
It's again, we started off, and I want to be clear, when we first started off at Fox Soul and creating it and pitching it out, my main goal was, how am I going to compete with a BET, a TV One, and Revolt that already had such a head start, if you will, but also are household names at this point, especially in the Black community.
Right.
And what this digital space will allow me to do with Fox Soul was, the reason our mission is our voice, our truth, is I felt like I wanted to make the community and the culture a part of the program, a part of the shows, where you can talk real time, you can actually express yourself the way you want to without being judged. So the goal is to, first and foremost, is to continue to be our voice, our truth, where you can go online and if you need therapy, and we have an expert on the show, that you can actually talk to them right there if you can't afford to go to the couch, that type of thing. You can actually express yourself in a real way, whereas on the other platforms, you have to watch what they're giving you, and we want you to be a part of that. But eventually, I want to continue to grow it, continue to hit every genre that's a part of the culture that we appreciate. But the ultimate goal is to continue telling the stories behind the stories. Sure. I want to make Fox Soul a household name. I want to make Fox Soul the same as a BET or TV One and a Revolt. I'm not Puff in terms of the celebrity factor and that kind of vibe, but I want the content and the people that I'm blessed to work with and the talent that we have to speak volumes to what they feel about the brand. And I'll just say lastly is I want to continue doing strategic partnerships with, Vivica Fox, Carly Jordan, Jeezy, Manos, everyone, Angela Yee's, everyone has been a part, Tiny, everyone has been a part of Fox Soul helping us get to this point. Right. It's because I think the relationships that I have with them, but also they see the value. Nobody's going to put their brand with something that they don't see any value in. So I just really appreciate the fact that even as we're about to turn 3 years old in January of next year, there's a lot of great people that have aligned their brands with those back because they see the value, which I really appreciate.
I wanted to find out, is Fox Soul on cable networks? I have YouTube TV, so I see it on there. Are you guys on cable networks too?
Yeah, we're on 19 different distribution platforms. Roku, YouTube TV, as you just mentioned, Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, Fox Now, like Amazon News, like everywhere. And the key is for visibility is you want to get on as many platforms as possible. We're talking to Hulu, Peacock, so forth and so on. But the biggest thing is Fox has 17, 18 owned and operated broadcasts in all the biggest markets, especially the markets of the majority of Black, right? They broadcast some form of Fox Soul every day on their network, which is great. So, in essence, yes, we're on broadcast. You can watch it on the Fox Soul, the Fox owned and operated stations, and then you can find Fox Soul where we are. I don't think the goal is to be a linear channel, if that's the question, because I like the fact we can speak the way we speak. We can be as raw as we want to be without having any issues of people telling us we can't say that. I think the biggest thing is in the community is our lack of what we haven't had is a real voice. We haven't had an opportunity to really be heard. And that's my biggest goal, is to give us an opportunity to be heard in our purest form and make sure that we have a voice that we never had before.
And that's super important, man. You know, I was watching the news show. It comes on like, 10 o'clock? Fox Soul. What is like the news show you guys have?
The Black Report.
Black Report. Yeah. So my wife and I watched that, and we were actually watching it last night too. It was good, man. Are all your shows coming out of the same place? Is everything coming out of L.A. or New York or Atlanta or what? Or are they coming from different locales?
Well, you know, it's crazy. We officially launched January 13th, 2020. And then we all know what happened in March.
Yeah.
We had to change things. So a lot of our shows are Zoom. People are wherever they are, whether they're Zoom. But now I'm starting to license projects that people can go in the studios and deliver to us from certain places. But before we had a studio, we were people, if you wanted to be a guest or on the show, we were all producing out of that one studio.
Gotcha.
But for us, the pandemic was a sort of a blessing in disguise because we were able to expand our footprint. If you weren't in LA, you couldn't be on the shows at that time. Now, no matter where you are, because of the hybrid, you can become a part of Fox. So the Black Report is done out of a studio in LA every day. Cocktails with TGIF at Zoom, and then the Business of Being Black is Zoom. Dr. Sean is out of the studio. It just depends. Jeezy was out of the studio in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
So it just depends on what it is.
All right, cool. What I need to do to get my show on there, bro?
Let's have a conversation. Like
all right, that's what's up, man.
I tell people, too many people try to ask them, like, listen, I wish I could do everything, but there's only so much real estate, and then there's only so much resources I have been, again, not yet 3 years old, but eventually I want to be able to grow, man, and get shows like this sincerely in the fact because you're entertaining, educating, and inspiring. You're doing exactly what I believe in with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Like, we need this. Nobody really teaches us about how to really, the behind the scenes of being an entrepreneur, if you will, the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And I think that's so important.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's funny because when I talk to and interview a lot of people, they're like, man, you ask certain questions that other people don't. I'm like, yeah, because I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm in the game just like everybody else. So I'm not just the interviewer, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So that's what's up. My daughter and I were talking, my oldest daughter, and I was like, man, there's so much great educational content. I'm all about building an economic power base in the Black community by, building and supporting Black-owned businesses. And that's what this whole BEB thing is about. And I'm like, but people will more rather watch some crazy stuff than to get that education that's going to be able to help them level up. because, you know, man, there's no revolution without economics. You got to have that economics in place in order to create a revolution. And I think a lot of times, especially with some of the younger kids, man, and you talked about that microwave type of thing, they want stuff instantaneously, but building a business and getting educated in entrepreneurship doesn't happen overnight. You know that, I know that. And it's like, man, we got to get more of this good word out here so people can start leveling up as opposed to just having fun. That's cool. You know, get that money first, then have the fun. So that's why, you know, we've been rocking since 2014, 420 plus episodes every Monday morning. And so that's what I've been preaching, man. And it's just so crazy that some TikTok video will get millions of views. Everybody needs some, you know, relaxation and fun. But how about putting that education in to help level yourself up and your community? And that's what I'm all about.
I agree. You absolutely need it. You know, just that, unlike, you know, I don't know how you are, but when I was coming up, we didn't have all the distractions either. There's no social media, things like that. So you know, nowadays, people are watching TV at home, the phone in their hand, they're doing a million different things, and, you know, because they have a lot of distractions. And then the social media, you're seeing like I mentioned before, the end result of a lot of hard work. And everyone is just focuses on the nice things they're seeing on social media. They're not really seeing the mud, if you will. So I always applaud people that really like yourself. I think teaching is only about being real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think being real with yourself and how things work. So we just have to figure out, you know, life is going to keep changing, it's going to keep growing. So I think as creators, we just have to figure out how to reach the people in a way that they can receive it properly in the current climate.
Right. Nah, that makes a lot of sense, man. Because, you know, it's not that I don't enjoy entertainment, because everybody needs to, you know, decompress, not think about work or whatever they're dealing with, and be able to look at something, laugh, and have a good time. So I definitely get that. But on the same side, you got to keep that. All right, yeah, I'm having fun, but I got to get my business right. I got to get my paper right. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on that, man.
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And you mentioned that about the network, you know, showing the different facets of us as a people, you know, which makes a whole lot of sense, man. I'm not going to hold you too long. I got a couple more questions for you. In terms of mistakes, if you could go back in your journey, is there anything that you would change? And if so, why?
I don't think we got that long, bro. But you know what? I'm not, you know, I know it sounds cliches again. I'm not going to say that I would change things. There's things you have regret for sure.
Right.
There's opportunities that was right in front of me and I wasn't prepared. So there's a saying that goes, you know, you hear a lot, you got to be at the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I've learned in life, that's just not true. You got to be the right person at the right place at the right time. You got to be able to receive the opportunity that's coming. So there's a lot of things that, you know, actually, honestly, everything I've gone through, all the failures that I've had, all the mistakes that I've made, actually has prepared me for right now.
That's what's up.
In all areas of my life, in all areas of life, it has prepared me to appreciate what I have and to make sure that I don't mess it up. You know, you pray for things and then you get everything you want, and then you realize you haven't grown enough as an individual, and you continue making the same mistakes. And so one of the things when I do speak now, real brief, Jay, if I may, is that I tell people the first business you got to learn to run is called you incorporated, right? Yep. Because until you get that fixed, no matter what business you have, you may be successful for a little bit, but eventually it's not going to work if you're not together. Like they say, your inner world creates your outer world. And if you're a mess inside, eventually the outside is going to reveal that, right? Yeah. So I've learned over the years to really work on myself, to really grow, I love being a grown-up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I love being everything that I thought it was. And I get to look in the mirror now and really say, I'm proud. I've come a long way. I've come out of a lot of darkness. And so there's not really anything I would change. Obviously, when you're going through it, you wish you could change it all. but because it hurts and it's difficult. But if you learn from it, and it's true, if you learn from it and not just learn but grow from it and make sure you don't make those same mistakes, it's all beneficial. And and every day I wake up and learn and grow. There's a saying that says the wise know they're ignorant, so they keep learning.
Right.
So the day you don't feel like you can learn anything or grow, then I don't know why you're still on this earth. That should be the moment to continue bettering yourself. So once you can do that, the business then will come and take care of itself, whatever you decide to do. Because then when you learn yourself, you won't quit. You won't give up. You'll believe in what you're doing. That internal battle is the greatest battle in the world. And so once you can conquer that, for the most part, everything else will fall into place. So no, I don't really, I have regrets, yes, but I don't have anything that I would change because it has prepared me for what I really think is a beautiful part of my life.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate the transparency too, man, because a lot of people come on and you got the quote unquote gurus, but it's like, man, we're all human, so we all have pros and cons, positives and negatives, and I appreciate that transparency, man, because we need more of that. For DuBose Entertainment, is there an exit strategy in place, or you just going to keep rolling until kingdom come?
until they throw dirt on me.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that.
That's what's up.
To leave it from a kid. You know what I mean? I'm trying to leave it from a family. And
that's what's up.
Leave a legacy, man. That's really what I work for every day. I've lived a great life. I've done everything I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. So
yeah.
That way, it ain't about me, honestly. I'm trying to leave something so my kids can do what they want to, not what they have to.
That's a blessing, brother. Before the last question, man, is there anything that I omitted asking you that you want to share with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family? Tips? Anything good?
Very, very detailed, brother. You hit it all.
Okay, my man. Appreciate that. And last question, man. If you had the opportunity to have a conversation with one person, be it living or dead, who would it be and why?
Wow, man, that's good. Man. That's a good.
We want to tap in to see some what's inside, what your thought process is on that one.
There's a book I think called I don't want to get the name wrong, but Viktor Frankl, I believe. I think it's The Meaning of Man.
Yeah.
You read that book, you see how difficult what he had to battle and go through and still come out and be able to tell that story and accomplish all that he had. That's one person I would love to talk to, simply because, to me, he's been through the darkest of the darkest, and yet he had the wherewithal, the spirit, the strength to come out of that and be extremely, extremely successful. I want to know those people. I want to talk to anyone that I could learn how to get up again. You know what I mean? Because I did learn that's where you get the most. That's where you learn. So, I mean, there's a lot of people I would love to sit down and pick their brain and have conversations with, but
right.
I find that people that come out of the struggle can teach me more than people that are, haven't before.
Exactly. And I got to check that book out too, man. Now that you mentioned it, I'm gonna definitely check it out.
It's a tough read because of the pain that's in there, but it's very rewarding, man. Like you, as you say, you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only option.
Man, man, I want to thank you for sharing, Brother James, with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. Amazing insights. And, the entertainment industry is so fascinating. I mean, I literally could talk to you, man, for hours, I'm sure, about the industry, the inner workings of it and all of that stuff. But I want to thank you, brother, for coming on and sharing everything your experiences, your entrepreneurial journey, and being transparent with the BEB family, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, thinking of me, and thinking enough of me to have me on your platform, man.
That was an amazing and informative interview with brother James DuBose, founder of DuBose Entertainment and the GM and head of programming for Fox Soul. Before I do my takeaways from today's episode, I just want to share my resource links and my contact information. Now, everything I'm about to tell you is on blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. So I mentioned at the top of the show, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital edition. Go to the website. Also, I mentioned 2 platforms to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. They're in the process of being revamped right now, so if you go to one of the sites, just put in your email address and name, and we'll alert you when they are back up, and also let us know if you want to be on the platforms. Also mentioned at the top of the show, BEBacademy.com. Elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Make sure you get 3 days free access just by logging into BEBacademy.com. Also, all of this information, guys, is on the website. Go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit the Learn tab, and you'll see everything I'm talking about. Now, in addition to that, if you want to connect with me, anything long, hit me on my email address, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, JAYJONES at blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, JJones001, that's JAYJONES001. Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. The first one is JJones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. All right, now, if you're on Clubhouse, get at me at I am J Jones on Clubhouse. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just go to LinkedIn, look for J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Once again, guys, go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit the Learn button, and you'll have all types of different resources for all your entrepreneurial needs, be it marketing, scaling your business, mindset, everything you need to grow your business. If you want my social media contact information, when you go on the website, hit the About button, and under my picture or my bio, I believe, you have all the links to all my social media accounts. Now, once again, we want the website to be the place for black entrepreneurs to get resources for successful entrepreneurship. So go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. All right, let's get ready to take a look at some of these takeaways from today's interview. The first thing I want to say is I really appreciate the transparency that James had in this interview, and he talked about some wins, some losses, and his actual struggle to get where he is today. He started talking about 1992. He started in the entertainment business, but he didn't start his own business until 2005. So that was a 13-year period where he was learning the business. Sometimes we start businesses and we're not quite ready to start. Not saying that you can't be successful, but what you learn here is he had to understand and learn the playing field and learn the business before he started. Okay, so he put in the time and was a production assistant for 1.5 years. And you heard him talk about he was getting coffee and doing all types of gopher work. But that's par for the course in that entertainment industry. He also mentioned when he started his business, he was trying to find a void in the marketplace where he could exploit. And so that's another great tactic that you can use if you're an entrepreneur. If there's something or void that's not being filled and there's a need in that void, then you can jump in there and possibly turn that into a productive and prosperous business. James also talked about greatness. And the quote he had, he said, his greatness is never a one-man show. So you have to make sure you have the right team around you to build your business. I know as solopreneurs, that's what many of us start out as. We don't have the team to be able to grow and scale. So remember, greatness is never a one-man show. And the last thing I want to point out is James mentioned about multiple streams of income. So even though he's still the GM and programming director at Fox Soul, he still has DuBose Entertainment. And so you always want to have those multiple streams of income. And lastly, James mentioned a book that was very inspirational for him. And the actual title is Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. And it's by Viktor Frankl. Last name spelled Frankl. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. So I have that on my list right now to pick up. And you guys know how we do here at the BEB family. Make sure you guys check out Fox Soul. Support my brother James DuBose. And remember, his moniker is Inspire, Educate, Uplift, and Entertain. And if we can do that, guys, we can change the world. Now, before we close on out, I say this each and every week, but it's true. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, the new website that we want to be the resource for Black entrepreneurs, and the whole ecosystem with the online courses, newsletters, books, and everything else. And it's all dedicated to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.